Hello, everybody. It's Sabre Wolf, and yeah, so this is going to be a new series I'm going to put out there. This is breaking down of classes, races, etc. for Dungeons and Dragons. And today I'm going to start off with some of the brand new subclasses that are 5e ready for Dungeons and Dragons, and those come from this massive tome that I got recently. This is the Taldori Reborn. This is really huge. It's 275 pages of content with campaign settings and like that. It is from the Critical Role crew, specifically Matt Mercer and all the gang there. Hannah Rose and James Hayek. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. So yeah, so I'm going to start with subclasses that were released in this book right here. So if you want to check it out, I recommend, by the way, do not buy this book through Amazon. Buy this book through their Crit Roll shop. If you buy it through the Crit Roll shop, it is only $50. If you go through Amazon through one of the sub shops there, one of the shops had it on there for $85. They are upselling it for $35 over the actual cost of the book. So I recommend if you want this book over here, make sure you buy it directly through them. Will be cheaper, and mostly anything I try to buy it directly from the actual creators, even when it's Guild Wars 2 or Guild Wars 1. If they come out with a new release of it, I buy it directly from ArenaNet. I don't go anywhere else and try to find it anywhere else. But today we're going to be doing Taldori Reborn, and specifically we're going to be looking at the Path of the Juggernaut. Now, this is a barbarian subclass, and I'm going to read there's a longer note about this, but I'm just going to break it down to this little quote, which is, Barbarian who follows the path of Juggernaut stands so resolutely that none can deter them. And they swing their weapons with such force that all who stand against them are flung aside. In might and spirit, Juggernauts are the most unmovable object and an unstoppable force all at once. That describes this class basically in a very short little paragraph. And I'm going to break down what each level you get, and maybe how this makes it worse, at least how I interpret it, and how each their part works. So without further ado, we're going to go to the level 3 skill, which is called Thundurus Blows. Now, I took out the fluff and all the extra wording that's in there that has nothing to do with the actual skill or ability or whatever this thing is. I broke it down to just the wording of how each skill works. All right. So, when you hit a creature with a melee attack while you are raging, you can push the creature up to 5 feet away from you in the direction of your choice. If the creature is huge or larger, they make a strength save versus DC 8 plus the proficiency plus strength. At level 10, the push away can be up to 10 feet. Now, I did pull up my Roll20 here. So just to try it out from there, see how that works. So basically, if you hit this guy right here with a attack, you can push it back to 5 feet or possibly 10 feet. But that's not all that actually says. It says you could push him in any direction. So you could push him 10 feet this way, 10 feet this way, or maybe 10 feet. I don't know if your place probably picks one, you can push them behind them. So if you have more people behind you over here, you can actually have them gang up on this one guy. Now, this is the core skill of this entire subclass, because there's other things that happen down the road at higher levels that will augment this even further. So just remember that when you push 5 feet, it's not just 5 feet this way. You can push them. Oh, hello. You can push them 5 feet this way, 5 feet this way, or this way over here. You can actually move them around on the map. So it gives you a little control. Makes you almost a control character on the field. So that's something to make sure to look into for that. And again, it's DCA plus proficiency plus strength. So when you get up there in levels, say about 8th or 9th level, so proficiency is about +3. You're a barbarian, so you're going to have at least a +4, probably +5 in strength. So it's +8, 8, 16. 16 save, strength save. It should be pretty good. So that's not too bad. It's right up there with wizards and stuff, so for saves. So it should be pretty good. Now, also at level 3, you also get Spirit of the Mountain. While you're raging, you cannot be knocked prone or moved along the ground against your will. So yeah, so in other words, you cannot be knocked prone. So so for instance, you're versing a bunch of wolves. Of course, why would I think that off the top of my head, right? So if you think about a bunch of wolves and they can have that knockdown feature, you are immune to that while you are raging. And if you're a barbarian, you're always going to be raging. So that's not too bad. So it also keeps your feet planted, and you can move anywhere you want onto the field. Now, level 6, you get what's called Demolishing Might. Your melee attacks deal an extra 1d8 damage to constructs and deals double damage to objects and structures. So this, to me, sounds like a straight counter to the Artificer class, specifically like your Robot Dog, or if you've been following our campaign, Friday Night Dice, every 7 p.m. on Fridays. The constructs that basically give your entire party 10 to 15 temporary hit points every single turn. So those you'll do an extra 1d8 damage to if you attack those. But also dealing double damage to objects and structures. So if you're trying to bust down a door or break a table or something like that, this will actually do double damage with your weapons. So interesting enough, instead of trying to pick locks, you can just bust down the door and be able to do double damage with it. So okay. Also, by the way, person underneath me, that is an example picture from their book, and her name is Keljaya Olehe. I hope I'm saying that right. It's Keljaia space Uloeh. And there's also a little sub thing about her in the book. That is a gnome barbarian path of the Juggernaut. So this is like an example of what they would give for that in the book. Moving on. Well, wait, there's more. Also, level 6, you get Resolute Stance. At the start of your turn, no action required, you can assume a defensive stance that lasts until the start of the next turn. While in this stance, you cannot be grappled, attack rolls against you are at disadvantage, and your attack rolls are also at disadvantage. So, yes, you're at a defensive stance, so it's some kind of like the dodge action, but you basically get a free action dodge action, where you cannot be grappled, and attack rolls against you are at disadvantage. But at the same time, your attack rolls are also at disadvantage. Now, I did put a note here that's not in the book, but I did note that if you recklessly attack, this will cancel out the both disadvantages. So when you make an attack and you want to do a reckless attack, you can actually make it at it would just be a normal attack. You wouldn't get the advantage roll, but just be at a normal attack. But remember, when you reckless attack, they get advantage too, but since it's disadvantage, it'll be just a regular roll. So, interesting. I really don't know how I feel about this, because you kind of always want to have, when you reckless attack, you want to have that advantage to try to get the hit in. And when you are raging as a barbarian, yes, they're going to get advantage against you, but you're also usually reducing the damage you're taking by half. So, I mean, basically all you're getting is prevention from being grappled. I really don't like this particular skill. I don't see any use for it, to be honest. I mean, I just want to make sure I wrote that all down right, because it just seems so blah. Yeah. And yeah, all it is just preventing being grappled and disadvantage attacks against you, but you also make attacks at disadvantage. So I guess you just kind of roll up in a ball and can't be grappled. But I really don't see a point of this. The skill is probably the weakest skill in this whole subclass. So level 10. Now also remember, at level 10, we go back to the first skill. Now your push from Thundurus Blows go up to 10 feet now. Now let's go back to level 10. As a reaction, when you push the creature at least 5 feet, so when you do the Thundurus Blow attack, as a reaction on top of that, you can then leap into an unoccupied space next to the creature. Now it says at least 5 feet. So let's go back to our handy dandy map that we had before. Now, when you push, that means when you push it back, you can push it back, it says at least 5 feet. So you can push it back the full 10 feet when you're Thundurus Blowing. And then you can leap within 5 feet of that target. So you can leap anywhere you want targets. And the cool thing about that is that when you read this, it says if you do so, the creature must succeed on a strength save. Oh, this is other than that. Down here, I'm actually going to skip ahead. Down here, the leap does not cost movement. It does not provoke opportunity attacks. So let's go back to our map real quick. So if there is, say, like another one of these buggers, put them right there. So we'll reset this up again. So you push this back, say 10 feet. You can actually leap over to here, and you do not get an opportunity attack from the other person over here. So, and it's free movement, so you still move your 30 feet away, whichever direction you want to go in, if you want to. Which is pretty darn strong in my opinion. Now, going back to the other part of this is if you do so, the creature must succeed on a strength save, DC 8 proficiency strength. So they have to make the save twice. Once against being pushed, and then you take your reaction to make them roll the save again for basically the same number, or they're going to be knocked prone. I think this is where the other part comes in from this part right over here from the stance. Now, you would get double advantage on your attack if you're doing reckless, because you would get advantage if they're prone, but if you're in this resolute stance, which is a free action, it would just be a regular attack. But if you do it recklessly, then it would be double. Then it would be an advantage. Some rules that just says you only get one advantage, you don't get double advantage. That would have to be a house rule. I know core-wise, you only get one advantage and one advantage only. If there's any kind of disadvantage, it just cancels out no matter how many advantages you have on top of that. House rules for us on Friday Night Dice, we actually do double, triple advantage, and they kind of cancel each other out as you move closer. So I believe in our group, we would say that would be an advantage if you're doing reckless and the person would be prone on top of that. Then I could see this actually working. But D&D rules as they state, that would still be a straight roll, even if they're prone and they are reckless attacking that target that's prone. That's D&D rules by how it is. But still, you're still knocking the thing prone, so that's not too bad. We did already mention that the leap and movement cost an opportunity attacks. And here's the other cool thing. If the creature is pushed into a space within 5 feet of an ally, that ally can use their reaction to make a melee weapon attack against the creature. So on top of moving them, on top of knocking them prone, if they move into a space within your partner's area. So let's go back to our handy dandy map here again. And let me grab an ally here. I'm gonna grab Cyril. We'll say Cyril was over here, or I'll actually down here, so the names don't overlap each other here. So if you knock this target back, move up a little bit, move 5, 10 here, you leap over, then they're actually knocked prone. You got knocked prone. Now, because you knocked them into this 5 feet within this target, they can make a reaction and attack this target as like kind of an opportunity attack. But since they're prone, their attack would also be at advantage. That's not bad. So basically you're getting map control by moving targets into your range of your allies. They can make the attacks. You can actually get extra movement for free, moving into other areas of the map. It's pretty good. So not too shabby on that. Again, I did note that, again, the Thundurus Blows at level 10 will move the creature 10 feet away. It says at least 5 feet. It doesn't say at most 5 feet. It says at least 5 feet. So that means your Thundurus Blows, which at the same level 10, you'll get 10 feet. So Hurricane Strike and Thundurus Blows together would move up to 10 feet, and you can move the target, and you get the knockdown, you get the movement, the free movement of yourself, and everything else. So, last but not least, And we have the level 14 ability, and that is Unstoppable. While you're raging, because everything else is raging, your speed cannot be reduced. So if you are slowed, if you are tripped up, or if you have to get knocked down and get back up again, your speed cannot be reduced. If you have 30 feet movement, it stays at 30 feet. Also, you are immune to frightened, paralyzed, prone, and stunned while you are raging. Keyword there. So, which means if you become also note, if you become frightened, paralyzed, or stunned, you can still take a bonus action to rage, which removes the effects of these conditions while you're raging. Now, how I read that is, and how it's described in here means, and I'm noting this, is you can still carry the condition till you either save from it, like save from frightened, remove it by some other means, or the actual condition timer runs out. In other words, like some of these conditions last for a minute, that minute runs out. So if you drop your rage, so in other words, if you don't make a melee attack or something to upkeep the rage, or you take damage from it, if you drop that rage, the conditions kick back in. So this only happens while you're raging. You get immune to these effects. And note that just by raging, you don't get up from being prone. You're still prone, you just got to get up. But since your speed cannot be reduced, you can bonus action rage, then get up. You don't lose any movement speed. Usually when you stand up from prone, you lose half your movement. So instead of moving 30 feet, you move 15 feet. You actually get your full movement. So you do still get that benefit on that. But specifically, if you get frightened, paralyzed, or stunned, you remove the effects of the conditions, but it doesn't get rid of the actual conditions. They're still on you. It doesn't shed them off you. That's how I read it in the book wise. That's how I understood it and how I interpreted it. So that's what I was over there. So overall, for this profession, for the barbarian here, it's not too bad. That level 6 skill resolute stance, little I can understand it again if you have compounding advantage roll for that. I can understand that. Rules as written, it would just be a straight roll no matter what. Which again you would cancel that out by knocking the target prone. Other characters, and if you're knocking an ally, they get advantage themselves. Kind of like Shifter, one of the Shifter abilities that gives others advantage, or you don't get disadvantage and stuff like that. Something kind of like that in area, is how that works, I guess. So it's not too bad. So like I said, I will have some more of these from this book, the Thundurus Reborn. Like I said, there's 10 subclasses. The next one is the one that everybody's going crazy about. That is the Tragedy Bard. I'm just calling it Tragedy Bard because that's basically what it's called. That will be my next video, so I hope you enjoy that. Once again, I am Sabre Wolf, and have a good day.